Hello, hey, Coach Lawson. Yo, yeah, you remember that lineup you put out there with Caitlin and K-Cop and Angel? You remember that lineup? De'Erica Hamby? Yeah, let's not do that lineup again. You know, we saw it in the first quarter. It was abysmal work going on there. I mean, it was slow offense. The ball wasn't moving around. I think after the first quarter, we should have just moved on from it. You know, let's not do that again. I understand you might be trying different lineups, but man, we were confused in the chat. We were confused.
That opening rant, that's frustration boiling over. And he's not wrong. What we witnessed in this game was one of the most confusing coaching decisions of the entire tournament, a lineup that made 0 sense on paper and somehow made even less sense on the court. The offense ground to a halt, the ball stopped moving, and the question everyone's asking is simple: why would you abandon what worked?
But anyway, what's going on, my Flyby family? It's your boy Izzy. Welcome if you're new. Man, the offense was crazy today in this game, man. I mean, slow, confusing, ball wasn't moving like that. I don't know what was going on. Before we get into it though, y'all make sure y'all hit the like and hype for your boy if you like the content. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 38.6, so if you can help me with that, I highly appreciate it. And don't forget to get in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about this one.
Here's what makes this so baffling. 24 hours earlier, this team put on an offensive clinic. The ball was moving, players were finding rhythm, and Caitlin Clark orchestrated the entire thing like a maestro. Then the next game, it's like they forgot everything that worked. Slow sets, contested shots, players looking confused about their roles. The contrast between these two games isn't just noticeable, it's jarring.
But anyway, the offense, man, it was really slow today. I didn't like it. I mean, looked like we wasn't clicking like how we were clicking yesterday. It wasn't as exciting. You know, the defense was there. I love the defense today. I love the defense yesterday. But today it just seemed like, man, we were half-stepping. It just seemed like the offense was off, basically, on the offensive side. Now, I'm going to give props where it's due. Paige had a good game, right? Kelsey, she shot pretty well throughout the day. Even Angel had a decent game, man. Shot 60% from the...
Let's talk specifics because the numbers tell the story. In the first game, the offense flowed through Caitlin as the primary facilitator. She led the team in assists, created open looks, and the pace was electric. Paige Buchers found her rhythm playing off that energy. Mo Billins set screens that opened up the entire floor. The chemistry was undeniable. But in this second game, the offense looked like 5 players running separate plays. Kate Coppin drove into traffic and forced contested shots. The ball wasn't cycling back to the point guard to reset. Possessions that should have resulted in good shots ended with forced attempts. And the most confusing part? The coaching staff watched this happen for an entire quarter before making adjustments.
We wanted to try sets. It just did not look like good basketball, man. And honestly, it kind of looked like the offense was kind of running away from Caitlin a little bit. It looked like it didn't want to necessarily run through Caitlin, but it just did not look like Caitlin was involved in this offense, man. I don't know, man. And then honestly, I'm like, yo, after a great game yesterday, I would think you would start Caitlin today and at least give us some Caitlin Paige action after seeing the success from yesterday. We see that Paige finds Caitlin, Caitlin finds Paige, and vice versa. The duo was crazy, right? And then I would say, wow.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Mo Billins wasn't just a role player in that first game's success. She was integral to it. Those skip passes Caitlin was making, Mo's screens created the space. The dribble handoffs that led to open threes, Mo was setting the pick. The backdoor cuts that broke down the defense, Mo was reading the floor and executing perfectly. That's not just good individual play, that's chemistry. That's 2 players who understand how to work together, who've developed timing and trust. And for reasons that nobody can quite explain, that pairing was broken up in the second game. Caitlin and Mo barely shared the court. The offensive engine that powered the first victory was dismantled before it could even get started.
Most of those skip passes she was having, Mo was setting those beautiful screens for her. The shot, right, the dribble handoff that she had and made the 3 on, Mo was sitting right there setting the screen. Mo got the back door going, pulled up on 3 players and made a shot for Caitlin assist. So Mo was a huge piece, a huge factor to Caitlin's offense. And I'm like, yo, I don't know why you would separate that. I understand, like I stated at the beginning of the video, she was probably trying to figure out what works and what don't work. But I'm like, yo, man, that you found something that worked after you saw what didn't work. Let's go back to what worked a little bit, you know?
Let's address the Kate Coppin situation directly, because this is where lineup construction becomes crucial. Koppen is a talented scorer. Nobody's disputing that. She can create her own shot, she's aggressive attacking the basket, and she's got the confidence to take big shots in pressure moments. But here's the problem. She's not a facilitator. Her game is built around scoring first, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Every team needs players who can get buckets when the offense breaks down. But when you put her on the floor with Caitlin Clark, you're creating a decision-making conflict. Caitlin's strength is reading the defense and finding the best available shot, even if it means giving up a good look for a better one. Koppen's instinct is to attack and finish, regardless of what else is available. That clash of styles showed up repeatedly in this game. Possessions where the ball should have cycled back to Caitlin to reset the offense instead ended with Koppen forcing contested attempts. It wasn't malicious, it wasn't selfish in a toxic way. It was just two players with fundamentally different approaches trying to coexist, and the result was offensive chaos.
And then she kicked it up, right? She kicked it to Jackie. Caitlin was standing there. And then Jackie brought it down, and Caitlin was getting the ball anyway. Look at this. Dumped it off to Caitlin right there. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was like if Caitlin was going to get it anyway, you should have just gave it to her, let her run it up. I'm not tripping about it. But it did seem like Caitlin wasn't involved with this offense. It seemed like they did not want to necessarily run the offense through Caitlin. And that's confusing because Caitlin was your biggest assist player, right?
Now watch this sequence carefully, because it crystallizes the entire problem. Angel Reese grabs the rebound. Caitlin is standing right there ready to push the pace. Instead, the ball goes to Jackie Young, who brings it up herself before eventually dumping it to Caitlin at half court. It's a small moment, easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but it's symptomatic of a larger issue. In the first game, Caitlin was the offensive hub. Everything ran through her, and the pace reflected that. In this game, it's like the team wasn't sure who should be handling those responsibilities. The result? Slower pace, less flow, more confusion. You can have the most talented players in the world, but if they don't have clearly defined roles, the offense will sputter.
Man, why did we sit Caitlin down after hitting a deep three? I mean, that's a spark play, right? That's how you get your teammates hyped. Like, oh, she making shots like that? Hold on, let me shine real quick. Let me get it together. But I think, man, overall, we did phenomenal on the defensive side. We just needed to clean up on this offensive side, man. We were not taking care of the ball. We were turning the ball over. It was bad, man. It was bad. Now, this is the confusing thing. Miss Lawson was actually talking about how well Caitlin was facilitating yesterday, right?
And then there's this moment. Caitlin hits a deep three from well beyond the arc. It's the kind of shot that should ignite a team, the kind of play that gets everyone hyped and creates momentum. She's clearly trying to find her rhythm, trying to heat up and take over the game. So what happens next? She gets subbed out immediately, right after making a statement shot. It's the kind of decision that leaves everyone scratching their heads. When a player is trying to get hot, you ride that wave, you let them cook, you don't pull them off the floor and disrupt their rhythm. But that's exactly what happened here, and it perfectly encapsulates the confusing decision-making that plagued this entire game.
Lawson said.
I thought Caitlin's playmaking ability, really kind of got us going. We got into a nice rhythm in that second quarter and scored a lot of points. So.
So you knew, right? You knew what was going on. Why didn't we run it through Caitlin? Now, another thing that's kind of strange is Caitlin had a great game yesterday, but then she doesn't start in this one. You had Paige start, you had Angel start. It's like, man, let Caitlin start. What's going on? Then she didn't even give us the Caitlin Paige duo. Oh my goodness. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it.
Here's what makes this even more puzzling. Coach Lawson clearly understood what worked in the first game. She specifically praised Caitlin's playmaking ability, acknowledged how it got the team into rhythm, and recognized that the offense scored efficiently when it flowed through her. That's not vague praise. That's specific recognition of what created success. So the natural question becomes, if you understand what worked, why would you move away from it? Why wouldn't you start Caitlin in the second game after she orchestrated that offensive performance? Why wouldn't you immediately get her on the floor with Paige to recreate that chemistry? Why would you experiment with lineups that clearly weren't clicking when you already found a formula that produced results? Tournament basketball doesn't give you the luxury of extended experimentation. Every game matters. Every possession counts. You can't afford to spend entire quarters figuring out what doesn't work when you already know what does. And yet, that's exactly what happened here. The team spent significant minutes running lineups that clearly weren't functional, all while the blueprint for success was sitting right there from the previous game. The defensive effort was solid. Players were competing, getting stops, creating turnovers. But defense can only carry you so far when the offense is struggling to generate quality looks. And the most frustrating part? This wasn't a talent problem. This wasn't players failing to execute. This was a structural issue. The wrong combinations on the floor, the wrong players handling key responsibilities, the wrong approach to offensive flow. Kelsey Mitchell shot well. Angel Reese grabbed 13 rebounds and shot 60% from the field. Jackie Young had moments of brilliance. The individual performances were there, but basketball is about how those pieces fit together, and in this game they simply didn't. The sum was less than its parts, and that falls on coaching decisions and lineup construction. Think about what could have been. If they'd started with the Caitlin Page-Mo combination that worked so well the day before, would the offense have found rhythm earlier? If they'd committed to running the offense through Caitlin from the opening tip instead of experimenting with alternatives, would the ball movement have been crisper? If they'd recognized after the first few possessions that certain lineups weren't working and made immediate adjustments, could they have avoided entire quarters of offensive stagnation? These aren't hypotheticals meant to pile on the coaching staff. They're legitimate questions about decision-making in high-stakes situations. And the answers matter, because this pattern of abandoning what works in favor of unproven alternatives is how teams lose games they should win. The talent is clearly there, the potential is obvious, but potential means nothing if it's not maximized through smart coaching decisions and coherent offensive structure. You can't ask players to execute a system that doesn't make sense. You can't expect chemistry to develop when you're constantly breaking up combinations that are working. What this game revealed is that success in tournament play requires more than just having talented players. It requires consistency in approach, clarity in roles, and the wisdom to stick with what's proven effective. The first game showed what this team is capable of when everything clicks. The second game showed what happens when you overthink it and abandon your strengths. So where does this leave us? With a team that's clearly talented enough to compete at the highest level, but also capable of sabotaging itself through confusing decisions and inconsistent lineup management. With a coaching staff that understands what works but doesn't always commit to it, and with fans who are left wondering why winning basketball gets abandoned in favor of experimentation that clearly isn't producing results. The question isn't whether this team can be great. The question is whether they'll get out of their own way long enough to actually be great. Because right now, the biggest obstacle isn't the competition. It's the self-inflicted confusion that turns dominant performances into frustrating struggles. And until that gets resolved, we're going to keep seeing these baffling inconsistencies that leave everyone asking the same question: why would you change what was working?